There. There we go. Three, two, and one. Well, Mayor Matt, welcome back. And I guess congratulations in order. You have another 3 years of job security.
Job security. Yeah, I was just saying it's a little weird when you get to that election point. You're like, well, depending on how things go, I'd be looking for a different job after that. But as fate would have it, I have another 3 years. Thank
Yeah.
you to the people that voted for me and trusted me again with being their representative for the city. I appreciate that, and my heart, my appreciation goes out to everybody who ran for all the positions. Congrats to those who have won. Yeah, some tighter than others. You might have heard we have one that's going to be recounted tomorrow on Friday, just to
Mhm.
make sure the count was right. It was 1 point or one vote difference. So
One vote. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. I can't quite say 1 point in this situation. I mean, it
yeah,
was, yeah, fractions. And, that's exactly what, why I always say, every election, every time, make your plan to vote, no excuses, because
yeah,
it can come down to one vote. And if it's a tie or one vote like that, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, my vote would have made a difference,
yeah.
because that vote in this situation did make a difference. Now, you won handily. Last time I talked to you, though, yeah, you were a little nervous.
I think, like I said, it's just a matter of not, it's up to people. It's so far out of your control.
Hmm.
You're kind of interviewing for a job with 19,000 people. And we had a good, we had about 4,000 people come out and vote, and I appreciate again everybody doing that and being a part of the community. It means a stronger community when you have more people running for the offices that represent the community. So I appreciate that, and I think I don't say my age, but I guess I'm saying my age. Like I'm kind of in the middle yet, where I still need to, my some of my kids are in college and all that stuff that's going on. Still got to pay for it. So it is
Right.
kind of good to know what I'm doing every day in order to make that happen. So it was just good to know one way or the other. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to have 3 years. They voted last year to change it to a 3-year term from 2 years. So I appreciate being able to have 3 years to kind of see some of the agenda stuff that I want to get accomplished through and see where we sit at 5 years. I don't want to just do this to hold a position. I want to feel like I'm accomplishing good things for the city and doing a good job for everybody. So,
Yeah, and I understand it was even barely 24 hours after the election. You were already in the office putting together the priorities list.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
is that list right now? What is at the top of that list?
Well, again, for me, it doesn't change too much. Like the communications is always going to be key. And we did a lot in the first year to get a new website up and running and getting the communication stronger. Emily Kent is my executive coordinator, which she does a lot of stuff outside of that position to communicate with the community and get information out. So she's doing a great job with the Wisconsin or Rapids Riverside Freedom Fest, which we'll talk a little bit more about.
Mhm.
But it's big, and we're going to keep working on that, developing more of that agenda to make sure we're communicating effectively with the residents so that they know that we're doing what they want and they don't feel like we're just doing whatever we want. So to me, that's always been a big one to, especially in this position, I kind of call it the bubble with all due respect, but keeping, 1 foot inside the bubble and managing the organization, but 1 foot inside the community to make sure you're staying connected to the people that you're actually there to represent. So that's been a big thing. And of course, budget's going to be a tricky one for the next couple of years, just trying to keep up with the scaling down that we'll have to do with the changes in the mill and the different funding revenue streams that are coming in or shrinking. So we had to make some tough calls last year, but we'll stay on top of that this year and try to find out ways to stay more efficient. I'm always all for, on the fourth point, building business, entrepreneurial development. We have a lot of good
Mhm.
programs going on with the high school, with Mid-State Technical College, with the Chamber of Commerce, and with other private entities that are doing entrepreneurial, like mentorship programs to get people connected with existing business owners and get them situated. And of course, the mill is always out there. We still have some work to do on the mill. We did amazing things in the last 2 years getting two of the buildings sold and one taken down, and we still have the one that's open, and then 220 acres to fill up with manufacturing, hopefully.
Absolutely. And that's what I was going to say is obviously the mill is probably the biggest glaring one right there because that's something everybody can see. That's something that the community's been known for,
Yep.
and it's obviously changed. The gateway to the city there
Yeah.
coming in from the north. I mean, that was always the thing that let you know that you were in Wisconsin Rapids, and now
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's not there anymore.
Well, that was the craft mill. So that was comprised of the grinder that took the full trees and turned them into pulp, and then the boilers that were there that actually provided the electricity for a lot of the mill. And those could never be started up again, and nobody was going to do the pulping. We tried. So in the end, I'm happy that in the first 2 years we were able to get that down to ground level. They're just finishing up, grinding up the remaining cement, getting the rebar out of it, and clearing that land so we can put up some new buildings in there. And there's some good prospects that are on the horizon. So
Blink twice if you've been in discussions with a name that people know, like Amazon or Meta or anything like that.
I don't think I'm blinking at all.
I okay.
If you can, yeah.
All
So
right. All right.
I mean, I am going to have to blink eventually, but
See
so
that's exactly
uh,
the corner I was trying to paint you into
yeah.
there.
But
Of
I
course,
would
give me a
say
chance.
I can just outrightly say no to that.
Okay.
So,
All right. All
yeah,
right. Well, we've squashed those rumors for
yeah,
now, and for now
yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
All right.
So
But
it's interesting to see, and there's going to be a lot of conversations about, there's just so much misconception about, I think what you're referring to is the data centers and what they're going to do and bring. But I think a lot of the fears are, I'm not going to say unfounded. Everybody has their what they hear on usually on the internet, I guess,
of
or on
course,
the news and stuff. But ultimately, they're not going to drain water. They have closed systems. We would make sure they have a closed loop system like a car, so the water stays internal, gets cooled, takes out the heat, gets cooled again, and just kind of keeps going around. The electricity is Quebco, so Consolidated Water and Power is the ones who generate like the land that we have available for the most part, where there might be some database interest. And that's a company that needs to have more electricity being brought in and sent out, and like basically at them acting as the middleman so that they can make more money and run a good electrical company. And we don't want them to go under. They employ a lot of people and they can employ more people, but they need more electricity to be demanded in order for them to sell it. So it would be a good thing and it wouldn't affect our ratepayers at all. Now, the big question is if we increase our demand by, threefold is what they're saying in the next couple of decades or even the next 10 years, then we're going to need new generation. And if we build new generation, it's going to be very expensive, not
hmm
only for the database centers, but eventually our old stuff that we're on now is going to upgrade to the new stuff. And that's going to cost us some money in order to do that. But that's going to happen eventually, anyways. So it's going to be very difficult to say, our rates increased and it's because of the database companies. They're going to come regardless, whether they're in your backyard or your next door neighbor's backyard or the next community over or down, in Racine. They're going to be here and they're going to provide our services that we need because we all want our cell phones and our computers and we want to be able to use them as fast as possible. So you can't really, bite the hand that feeds you, I guess, in that sense. So
hmm
eventually our rates are going to go up regardless of whatever comes this way.
and yeah, again, the big thing to know right now is it's all hypotheticals. All hypotheticals. You've
It
had
is.
discussions, nothing that you can say with absolute certainty on the record right now. And obviously we just gotta wait and see this out.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting. And like you said, it's kind of like the was it the .com bubble? Is that what they
The
call it?
.com bubble. Yep.
All this
Pets.com.
excitement and
Yeah.
all these things happen, and then from there the buildup comes, and then it kind of implodes, and then from the ashes comes the ones that are going to make it, the
Mhm.
furthest, like the Amazon and Facebook and that kind of stuff that came out of it. So it remains to be seen, and I think we just have to be patient and allow. I mean, unless we're going to go back in time, but that's not going to happen. So we're moving forward. you know.
Yeah, exactly. And if we were to go back in time, we would need a data center to help us process that process.
Well,
So,
there you go. Like it, yeah, something's got to make that machine
yeah,
work. So,
exactly. Uh, yeah, one more thing on this before we talk about the big Fourth of July celebration that you're planning. I know this is going to be a discussion in Wausau here coming up. I believe it's going to be later in the week. Wausau says we already have some small scale data center type um, operations that are being used here right now. We just don't
mhm.
happen to have, the big ones. Is that true in Wisconsin Rapids too, where you do have some smaller scale data centers that are not quite, you're just a cluster of desktop computers,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
they're
you could.
also not, what you think of.
I mean, in a sense, like you guys have one in some closet somewhere in your building, right? You have your servers, and that's all the
Mhm.
database centers are, just servers for storage. These are just mega storage facilities, is all they are. And really, a lot of times they're not even for the company itself. Like Amazon will build for Amazon, Facebook for Facebook, I assume. But a lot of them are going to be kind of like landlords. They're going to build. That's why there was a couple of years ago when we first got in here, there was a company that came through and they made a press release and said, yeah, $200 million investment in Wisconsin Rapids. Well, that was never the case. They just kind of made that up because they're trying to get investors to say, hey, when you build this, we want to buy some of that storage space. So they're acting like a landlord. But in the end, they didn't get any takers. So a year later, they're like, oh, we didn't get any tenants, so they didn't build the
Right.
facility. So we do have these database centers, bigger server facilities, storage facilities in the community that are for existing businesses that already exist. And they're in Wausau, they're in Stevens Point, they're all over. It's when they get on this really big level that people are, seeing them as a threat in some way. And understandably so. Like we do want manufacturing for jobs, but we don't want to say no to this either because it provides for old buildings. They're taking care of older buildings or they're building new buildings and we get tax base off of it. They are using electricity, which makes our electrical company stronger, which employs more people. And that's all very important to the community and the infrastructure and the future of our society. So.
Hmm. Now, last thing then before we let you go, uh, Fourth of July celebration. How are you looking to blow the doors off for USA
Yeah, yeah,
250
yeah.
here this summer?
Yeah, we got a lot of things in the works. We got bands going from 3 o'clock until the fireworks. We have sound systems going up so that we can project that music further and then make sure the national anthem is heard throughout the whole River Circle area. We have some kid zones and a lot more vendors this year. We got a craft center. We got the farmers market. Got some yoga in the park. Some bingo at Centralia Center, all sorts of things that we're working on. We got high school kids involved in it. I think there's going to be a dunk tank. I heard the mayor might be in there for an hour or two. So that's all good fun. What we do need though is, our budget's pretty tight. We went through a pretty rough cycle this last year, so we're not looking to take any more out. But we do have the $25,000 budgeted for fireworks, and that's what we paid for last year's show. But that same show this year is cost $30,500. So we'd like to still keep it at that level and do all these other things that will take a little bit of money. So we are reaching out to the community, asking for small donations. Get on our website at wirapids.gov. We're going to be blasting it out there. We are looking for sponsorships for bigger companies that want to donate more, and we will put a banner out with their logo on and different things. But we are getting that out to the community, and hopefully they'll see it as like this is something that is good for all of us as a community. It shouldn't just be on the government to try to take care of something like this. Ultimately, you want community organizations to run it anyways, but I felt like at this point it was up to us to kind of ignite the spark again to get it going and get more people engaged and working together. So that's what we're working on. Emily Kent again is executive coordinator, but does a lot more for the community in terms of communications and organization and all the things that she does for us. So I appreciate her.
Yeah, and again, we only turn 250 once. Hey, you got to
Yep.
do it right if you're going to do it.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, yeah,
We
big
are, I
fireworks
heard,
show.
yeah, we are working on possibly, like, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but We are on the docket to have some jets fly over, but
Hmm.
it's hard to actually accomplish. Like even if you're on the docket, doesn't mean it's going to happen. So it's hard to
Hmm.
promote that. So hopefully it does, because that would be a great way to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country.
Hmm.
Pretty
Absolutely.
amazing.
Well, Mayor Zacher, always appreciate the time and look forward to chatting again next month and for the next 3 years to come.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Michael. Thanks for all you do.
Absolutely.